Okay, so what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Discord link to Elevating Traders, completely free to join. You can share your trade ideas there, your setups, see what other people are looking to trade. I share some ideas there as well. So if you're interested, go check it out. Free to join. Links in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Excuse me. Hope everyone is doing well this morning. What's up, Tashi? Good morning. Hope you're well. Ahmed, good morning. Hope you are well. So as always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Go through USD majors, gold and silver. Of course, any requests, any particular pairs you do want to see my analysis to, let me know in the chat. Of course, let me know any particular time frames you're interested in as well. But it is an interesting past kind of week or so in the markets. We have seen a bit of movement, which is nice. USD has been pretty interesting. We've been seeing a pretty bearish dollar over the past few days. A bit of a reaction this morning, strong bullish engulfing candle close, but I don't really think that means much in the grand scheme of things. I still do expect to see price push back to the lows at some point, 98, probably this week, but I don't know, maybe we have a bit of a retracement this week, which takes some time, but eventually I do think we will head back to these lows at 98. So I'm pretty bearish on the dollar, especially with the fact that we've taken out this low here. This was our previous swing low, which of course gave us the swing to the high. Price has now completely invalidated that. So I'm no longer looking to follow this bullish structure. This is being invalidated. That structure has been put to an end. And I'm looking at these lower highs, which price has been pretty consistent with. The plan this week is to look for the next one, which basically I'm looking for it to happen anywhere within this area, 99.5 to about 100. We could pull back anywhere within there and continue this bearish journey. So still looking at more downside for the USD, expecting a push to 98. So taking that into consideration with other USD pairs we'll analyze in a moment. If dollar is going to be weak, you should expect to see other pairs push up or at least be stronger than the dollar most likely. But yeah, in terms of my analysis, it just looks like this bearish trend here, which has lasted throughout the whole year, has still got some juice left in it. And I do think we'll probably see some new lows pretty soon. I'm not too sure about this week. Like I said, we might spend a bit of time through the pullback phase. It might consolidate for a while, but I do expect us to push lower. So taking that information into euro, pretty much looking at the exact opposite. You can see with euro's case as well, just about taking out some highs there, which we did this morning actually. We closed for the week over there, but we did just about take out resistance. And that of course is giving us the break of structure. So in euro's case, same situation. Expecting a push back to the highs there, 1.156. We have some lovely bullish structure, which price has now been printing. Low there, high, higher low, higher high, another higher low. And just now, price, of course, is giving us the higher high. So the plan very much is looking for the next pullback for continuation. I think there's some nice intraday opportunities here for euro on the retest of the high here. Again, for euro USD. Just to basically pull back anywhere within this structure here, because as long as price doesn't take out this swing low here, I remain pretty bullish there for euro. So we could look at anything like that and a continuation, but a nice retest of the high would be a great place to position yourself long. Of course, waiting for appropriate rejection and entry signals before getting involved. But I like euro, especially if you can enter like a 30-minute chart, maybe even a 15-minute chart, even hourly. The risk reward looks pretty good. Not for a swing necessarily back to the high here, but a swing all the way back to the high over there, which again may take a few days to play out. So you have to have the mindset of looking to swing the position. But in terms of the upside opportunity, I do think it looks very, very good here for euro. So very, very bullish on euro USD. And you're looking to follow that bullish structure now. As long as we stay above 1.125-ish, I do think we'll end up at 1.15. So onwards and upwards for euro. Pound USD, very, very bullish with this one at the end of last week. clearing out resistance like it wasn't there, and has left us with some very bullish price action. But in terms of what we can do with pound, it just has to be looking for buys. We just cleared resistance here, so unless price was to suddenly come back below that level, buys are pretty much the obvious bet. Maybe you can be looking to try and catch some highs and sell it, but I think that's the more aggressive, difficult trade to take. If you can see a healthy pullback, the buys make a load of sense. Like I said, unless price does close back below, then of course we might be looking at a bit of a fake, which is not a bullish signal. So in that case, yes, maybe some sells could look good after that. But until that happens, I would only be looking at buying pound USD for now, breaking through major resistance there. There's a significant high on the left here, around 1.367. Maybe that's our next big stop there for pound before we see a bigger pullback. But in terms of the analysis, if you could see something like this over the next few days, that would be a great opportunity for a nice kind of corrective slow pullback. And then, yeah, a continuation back to a high. Let's say if price does pull back from here, then of course, naturally, that would be a healthy target. We have just marked out that weekly level above us, which could be a nice target in terms of maybe leaving some small positions to run just in case we keep going. But I think just keeping it simple, wherever we do pull back from, back to that swing high, just makes a load of sense. But yeah, in terms of direction, pound USD, just a very bullish market. And as long as we stay above 1.34, I do expect more upside and new highs again this week. Dollar CAD already saw new lows at the back end of last week. So this is just a very bearish market already coming into the week. I do still expect more downsides. I'm looking at this area here as a brief area of resistance, basically where we ranged quite a few weeks ago, back in September 2024. A lovely range there. We broke to the upside for a lot of momentum, and we haven't come back to revisit that area since. So naturally, I do think price is drifting towards that area to come and test it. Perhaps we see a reaction, perhaps we don't. We'll wait and see how price operates when we get there. But for now, we are looking pretty bearish, and I do think price is likely to continue to fall. So with that taken into consideration, of course, with my analysis on the USD as well, looks like the dollar still got room to the downside too. So yeah, I think there's a pretty high chance we do see dollar CAD continue to fall. So what would be nice would be a pullback, because that will give us the opportunity to ride the momentum, ride the trend, and take advantage of the swing. That would be my preferred opportunity, 1.382. I think especially from a swing perspective, if you can get a pullback into that zone, that'd be a nice place to position yourself short. Look for some stop losses, look for some entries, and you're looking at a pretty decent swing. Again, at least back to the low. Let's say if the market does pull back from here, then of course that makes sense for a target to have. I do think there's a good chance we do get to that daily consolidation zone, area of demand. I do think there's a high chance we get there, but again, depending on targets, depending on how you want to manage trades, having targets back at the prior low, which is mostly where most of my take profits are, just makes it easy and makes sense as well. You can always leave small positions to run if you are looking for the bigger move. But yeah, dollar CAD analysis, that is exactly what I'm looking for. I've got a feeling that we might kind of just open up bearish for the week and just drop, to be honest, which doesn't really help no one, to be honest, unless you're looking at some pullbacks on like the 5 or maybe 15-minute chart. You might catch that. But anything higher than that, you do need to see a bit of upside to get involved in at least a good opportunity. Of course, you can sell wherever you like, but not always the best case to be doing that. But yeah, dollar CAD more downside. The Aussie dollar, I've been looking for a big breakout of this one because I've been waiting for a pretty big pullback. People who've been watching the streams for a while know I've been talking a lot about Aussie dollar buys for quite some time now, more or less around this area, 0.625. But yeah, price just hasn't seen enough momentum to get there. We've been trapped in this ascending channel for a while, or range, depends how you want to see it. Just yeah, I would say both counts. If I could just draw a box around that, that's consolidation as well. So ascending channel, range, same thing really in this case. Market hasn't moved anywhere, which is the key takeaway. But essentially, I was looking to try and bet on a inverse head and shoulder pattern happening. So you got the left shoulder there, you got the head over there, looking for the right shoulder for the continuation. On the weekly analysis, I said it doesn't look like price is probably going to give us that right shoulder. So in terms of the next opportunity I might find for Aussie dollar would be if we can get a big break to the upside and then some pullbacks afterwards. That might be the opportunity that actually allows me to find a decent buy setup or even a retest of some structure here. Right now, that breakout is not giving me a lot of confidence. I need to see a lot more momentum than that. A lot more momentum. We need to clear this by some distance, because if we kind of just have this kind of half-hearted breakout, I wondered to myself, is this range just still going to continue? And then if that's the case, I don't want to be taking advantage of a break and retest, because these are not the conditions for that. So if we do kind of just fall miserably back down again, it doesn't interest me one bit. I'll just still chalk this up to a range, leave it alone. There might be some sells off the back of that, to be honest, if you do get back below, to take it back down into support. But that's the best I've got there for Aussie dollar. In terms of a trend, in terms of a swing, nothing quite there yet with this one, unfortunately. As the USD looks a little bit better, but still kind of having a little bit of trouble at the highs again. So as you can see, back at resistance. Lovely up move, I must say. This was a beautiful swing to the upside over the past few days there. But now struggling at resistance. However, again, if we do see a healthy break of that, it does leave behind a pretty nice level of support to go long from and continue to ride that momentum. Because I still do think there's more upside to be had for the USD. I still do think we can attack higher prices. But of course, we're not going to be buying directly into resistance. We need price to clear that out the way. So yeah, that's the best opportunity I can find. I wouldn't really be looking for a break me test here, because if we do push down, it kind of means that price has rejected resistance there. That's not really what I want to see. I want to see price break resistance to show me that, okay, momentum is back with the buyers. We're looking bullish again, and we're likely to see price continue higher. So that would be the opportunity I do favor. In terms of gold, gold's a bit interesting because we are operating within this bearish descending channel, and I wonder, is price rejecting the high here for perhaps another sell? If we could see a bit more momentum, I would be a bit more convinced. It's still a little bit flat right now, but the key thing is the upper end of the channel is holding. We are still seeing rejection here, so it is starting to make me expect potentially a swing like this. Back into the lows around 31.40-ish, 31.50. So if we keep this up for gold, still see some more momentum come into the market, then yeah, I would favor another swing. Gold is still at some heights where we could retrace. I know I've said gold is still in a very bullish climate, we're still in a very bullish trend. That's absolutely true. But if the market does start to fail at highs here, show fatigue, we could very much roll back over, and perhaps it could start a bit of a bearish trend. If, of course, we were to suddenly break to the upside and see a strong close like that this afternoon or whenever, sometime this week, and that, of course, puts the bearish fears to rest, really. And then at that case, there might be some nice break and retest opportunities to trade it. But if we do get a strong break to the upside outside that channel, then yeah, my expectation would be a swing right back to the all-time highs and probably some new ones as well. So gold right now, I'm kind of just on the fence, just waiting for a bit more information before I really put my bias out there, if I'm expecting a swing down or just price to break through. Of course, right now we're rejecting, but I need a little bit more there to be convinced that we are about to sell. Need some bigger candle or more momentum. In terms of silver, I think this doesn't look great, to be honest, so don't really have an opportunity really to speak about here with silver. We're very, very flat. Again, the higher time frames, I know my bias, I know what I'm expecting. Still looking for a push back to the highs here, just below 35. This is still my expectation, but again, we could still consolidate in here for a few weeks if we wanted. We could still drop lower first before we push up. That can happen too. So I don't really see a clear-cut opportunity to buy silver. I am bullish on the pair, But especially with the area we're trading coming back into supply to the left there, this is not the area which I'd bank on the buys happening. Again, like I said, I still do expect us to see high prices, but this is not where I want to be buying into. Resistant supply, not the best area. So I just don't have a setup simply for silver right now. So I'm very, very kind of just watching the pair develop, not trying to do anything. Gold looks a lot easier on the eye to understand and read. It's simple for gold. If you can hold that, sure. If we don't, buy. Silver, not as clear cut. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD. Very, very bearish. Again, if USD is going to be weak, that should push gold and silver up as well. So take that into consideration too. If dollar is going to be strong, then even though the correlation hasn't been perfect the past kind of year or so between gold and USD, I would still be cautious of that. Anyway, CS Integrated, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Entered long on DXY if it goes and stay 99.100, TP 99.5. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at a similar situation for the dollar. I mean, I'm not really looking to buy it, but I'm looking for a pullback at least back into 99.5 before perhaps we continue to sell off. So I'll go take a look at that in a second, but I think we're on the same page there. Nazar, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. GBP pairs, it looks pro. Do you mean they're bullish? Or do you mean I should look at the GBP pairs? But yeah, I'll take a look at the pound pairs. Ahmed, Euro yen 1 hour time frame. Yeah, we'll go through them. We'll go through some of the yen pairs as well. But yeah, for the DXY, I'm looking for a pullback into at least the 99.15 area, which is basically where that support kind of forms. More or less 99.4, but in and around that area anyway. But yeah, I do expect to see a bit of a pullback. We've had a relatively clean bearish swing to the downside, so the market has been looking pretty bearish, but I do think we can have a little bit of a retracement at least before we do continue. This is where I do expect to see the dollar end up at, back at the lows, 98, so that's where my targets are for the dollar. But we have taken out some big lows here just, so naturally that might give us a bit of a pullback there, which I'm guessing is where your targets are, 99.5, roughly in that area. I mean, 99.1, we're not too far away from that as well. But 99.5 is kind of where I'm looking for price to get to. Anywhere between 99.5 and 100 basically is where I'm expecting a lower high to form. And price to continue lower. So yeah, I do agree with that, on the same page. I think the dollar is due a bit of a pullback as well. But I'm more fixated on the shorts for the dollar because that's where I think the bigger move is likely to be. But yeah, still looking at a bit of retracement there for USD. In terms of some of the pound pairs, I'll go through a couple of them. So, of course, pound USD looking pretty bullish there. So, but again, I think USD is a big driver of this, of course. But pound has been pretty bullish in the past few days. GBP CAD, not so much, but as a whole, it is still a bullish market. You can see the long-term trend there, and the trend for the past 2-3 weeks has been on the up as well. It's been looking quite corrective. We're seeing a lot of wick rejection to the upside. I still do think price has a little bit more juice left to the upside, back to 1.87, which is the high there on the left. So I still do think pound CAD can push on, but we might drop a little bit. There's an area here which we might come back and retest before we do continue to the upside. So I kind of wonder about that, just because the market looks fatigued. If we had a bit more momentum, I wouldn't look for the pullback, but because we're having a lot of trouble trying to clear resistance there, it looks like we'll probably drop down, collect a bit more buys, and then push up. But yeah, in terms of direction, pound USD, pound CAD, sorry, bullish on that one as well. Pound NZD and pound Aussie, I'm actually pretty bearish on. I do think there's downside to be had with both of them. I'm actually still looking for entries. But it's more to do with Aussie being strong than necessarily pound being weak. So I think take that with a pinch of salt. As long as pound Aussie doesn't break through that high there, I do think we can still sell off. Pound NZD, same situation. Well, almost same situation. We've got a lovely level of resistance there. As long as price can respect that, I do think we can end up back at these lows at 2.217 as well. But again, that's more to do with NZD and Aussie being strong than pound being weak. Euro pound, I do expect to see a bit of a bump to the upside this week, a bit of a push up, so that could favor some weakness on pound, but maybe it might be more to do with euro. Pound yen, again, I think that's more to do with the yen, but that's had a bit of a push up. But again, the yen's been a bit weak as well. So I don't know. I think pound's a little bit mixed, maybe slightly on the strong side of things. But again, it just depends really what currency you're trading with. If you're trading pound against USD and CAD, I think buys look good. If you're trading against Aussie, New Zealand dollar, I wouldn't be buying, I would be looking to sell. Against the yen as well, I think buys look good there too. And against the CHF, I think buys look good there too. I don't like pound CHF. I'm not looking to trade it myself, but I do think we can still probably push on. At least clear the highs here to the left. I do think price can still go and do something like that as well. So yeah, from that regard, pound CHF, pound CAD, pound USD, pound yen, I think there's upside there. But maybe not against Aussie or NZD. Anyway, Euro Yen we'll take a look at, no problem. Darkashon, good morning. Welcome. Finally got back. Good to have you back on the stream, my man. It's been a while. Hope you're well. NAS and US 35 minute, of course, coming right up. Dima, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, let's take a look at Euro Yen on the hourly chart. So the yen pairs have been a bit weird, bit interesting. I've been looking for some upside for the yen pairs. I still think that is a move, a likely move. We'll go take a look at the yen basket as a whole just to see what the yen is doing. But I'm not a fan of Euro Yen, to be honest. Other yen pairs have looked cleaner. Euro Yen just been a little bit all over the place. I mean, the price action there is quite choppy in my book. The reason why I've stopped looking for shorts, I've been pretty bearish throughout the year for this one, but we just about broke structure here on the lower time frames. So that has put me off looking to sell the pair. And since then, I've been expecting price to kind of slowly chug away to the upside, and that's still kind of what I'm looking at. I said I will stay bullish for Euro as long as we don't break this support level, and we just about respected it, so that's very, very important still. However, yes, we still respected it, but I don't think it's the best opportunity in the world, really. But yeah, I do think Euro's got more upside to give. Yeah, we're still respecting key support. As long as that maintains, I think buys look good. I think a safe buy for Euro would be if we can kind of clear this noise here. So if Euro can give us something like that, and then of course the pullbacks afterwards just become self-explanatory, then I would just expect pullbacks back to the high there at 165.110. Just call it 165. So yeah, if we could see a move like that, of course I know I'm asking for a lot there, but what this move here would do would get you out of all of the noise here, because yes, we've been looking pretty bullish, but coming into resistance, we might start to consolidate again, mess around. We might get worked out a little bit here, so it just becomes a little bit choppy in this area. But a strong up move kind of shows the market's hand to us. Okay, things are looking bullish. We're breaking out all of that noise. Support here is being respected. There's a pretty high chance that we do push back to the highs there now. Of course, nothing's guaranteed, but I would say there's a pretty high chance we push back to the highs. So something like this would be a clear-cut opportunity. Of course, you still need the pullback and the entry, but in terms of what I expect next from the market, I'll be a lot more confident in that situation than in here. I'm still bullish, so I do expect us to eventually break higher. But in terms of an opportunity, that's always different from a bias. I might be bullish on the market, but there might not be a good opportunity for me to actually trade it. Two different things there. Euro Yen, I am bullish, but I wouldn't say there's a clear-cut trade there. And especially if you're looking in the hourly chart, I think something like that will look really, really nice. But yeah, I do expect us to swing back to highs. If we quickly look at the yen basket, then I'll get through some more requests. So yeah, the yen basket again this morning, pretty bearish. We had a big wick to the upside at the end of last week. Price tried to break a little bit higher, failed to do so. Now we rolled over. So it does look like to me the yen basket's kind of been in a channel here, and it looks like it's getting ready for a bit of a sell. So again, if the yen basket's going to have a bit of a drop, that should give upside to the other yen pairs, euro yen as well, and we should push higher. I'm still looking to see if we can get back into support here, potentially break through it as well. It's almost like a head and shoulder patterns forming. So you got your left, you got your head, and that's possibly your right shoulder forming for a push back down. So I think if I take this level of cross, just about hooked into it. So yeah, it does look like a bit like a head and shoulder pattern is forming there. And if that's the case, we could expect a lot more downside. Not only just back into support, but the break of it as well. But we can get to that another day. But yeah, JPY basket looking pretty bearish. I probably would still want to see a bit more conviction to the downside. We're looking pretty bearish this morning, but it would be nice if we could really, excuse me, really break through that. Then yeah, I would just expect price just to keep selling off at that point. But yeah, euro yen, I think we can still rally. We'll go through NAS and US 30 in the 5 minutes. So last time I looked at NAS, we had that sell from last week. But things are looking pretty bullish. I did speak about NAS on the weekly analysis. On the 4-hour chart, I said it looks like price, especially with that wick there, might be forming a bit of a bottom to push on. We start the week off pretty bullish as well. So NAS, I'm just very, very bullish on this market. I do think price is just naturally going to swing back to highs and swing back to the all-time highs as well. So that's the direction I'm looking to trade in. As for the 5-minute chart, things get a bit interesting. So 5-minute chart, things look pretty fatigued, I would say. We've been pretty bullish since the low here, which dates back to last Friday. So price has just been in a bit of an uptrend since then. I like the fact that we've taken out some highs here as well. We are trading into this kind of area of supply, which is a pretty critical area for the NAS because it did kind of start this big bearish move to the downside. So this is definitely not an area which I want to be buying into. I think as a bull in the market, I would anticipate hopefully a bit of a push down to actually find some buys to take this back up again. I think my most ideal situation for NAS would be possibly a retest of this high here at 21k roughly. You know, if the market would be nice enough to push down, retest that area, I think that would be a very, very nice place for a buy. You know, just trade it back into the swing high. Or if you're feeling a bit more confident, back to the high there, which I do expect price to get to. So that would be my preferred opportunity. But again, I'm asking a lot there from NAS to pull all the way back to retest that level. We might see the pullback, but it might just, you know, create support somewhere and then continue. So, but that would be the preferred opportunity. There might be some sells on the way down to take advantage of that push. I still think this is a nice space to be shorting from, especially if you can push right back to resistance up to the high there. Especially because we are looking very corrective on the way up as well. So I do think naturally we'll see that move down anyway. But yeah, I think the bigger move is with the buys. But again, you might find a situation where you can sell it to then buy it later. So you can take advantage of both sides of the coin. But yeah, NAS, I am bullish. I do think we can push back to the highs, but this looks like a really nice opportunity. As for US 30, same situation in the higher time frame as a whole. I do think US 30, again, getting ready for a move to the upside. We just about went and filled the gap there, so that's a really nice aspect for US 30, filling the gap there. I like the wick here as well, very, very aggressive. It gives me the vibes of a higher low forming here, I must say. We've had the low form here. We've kind of just chugged away to the upside. Now we've had a bit of a relief, bit of a sell-off. Maybe knocked out some buyers who would have been buying into this trend, knocked some of them off, of course, as price reacted to this kind of bearish area here. But now that we've had that sell-off, I do think we can start to trend higher again. So yeah, very bullish on the US 30 as well. Again, as for the 5-minute chart, let's drop right down. Basically similar price action to the NAS, which is we've come back into this supply resistance. Again, a nice place for a short. In US 30's case, we've actually made it to the high, so it would be a better short. If I go back to the NAS quickly, I'm not quite at the high of that range yet. So it would be nice if we could see one more rally than short, but we'll see. But yeah, US 30 respecting the high there pretty well. But again, same situation in terms of just looking at this as a ascending channel. I think price is going to have a bit of a sell-off, find some support, and then rally. And basically the same setup, really. Retest the high there. I think that would be a nice space for a buy. Because this kind of looks like a big inverse head and shoulder pattern to me. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. That would be the swing. So 1, 2, and then 3. And then you're looking for the continuation. I do expect us to get back to the highs there. So there could be a very, very big swing trade on your hands there. But you know, if you just take profits back at the high there as well, that makes sense too. So what's that? 42k roughly, 42.80. That makes sense as well. But yeah, for both NAS and US 30, basically the same price action on the 5-minute. Just depends if we can get a nice setup there, but that's my take. That's my take for both of them. Excuse me. Where was I? Rob, good morning. BTC plays for swings. It looks like we might be seeing a bit of a rally again. I did talk about a double bottom actually on the weekly analysis, which looks like it's playing out pretty well. So yeah, price just about pull back into this area. Excuse me. Which kind of gave us this double bottom here. And that was on Sunday as well. So you know, you would have to be looking to trade there on Sunday for BTC for a nice entry for that. But yeah, a nice swing to the upside. So naturally, I would expect Bitcoin to push back to highs at 111k. It's interesting for Bitcoin because yes, everything is still very bullish. We had a bit of a bearish close there on Friday, which doesn't mean too much. Just the fact that momentum is not anything crazy. It's not necessarily a breakout like this, or at least not yet anyway. So because of that, I think Bitcoin's going to slowly chug to the upside, but we might have a bit of a sell on our hands soon. But I'm not going to speak too much on that because I'm not necessarily seeing any red flags for that just yet. But just because we're not really breaking to the upside like Bitcoin normally does, doesn't give me a lot of confidence that this will be an insane move unless something changes very dramatically. But in terms of the market structure, very, very bullish, higher highs and higher lows. I've marked out quite a few ranges where I said a retest would be nice, but we just haven't seen them. So you had the range over there, nice breakout, no retest. Range over there, nice breakout, no retest. But in this case, nice range, nice breakout. This time we're getting a retest. And it looks like we're probably going to swing back to resistance. So onwards and upwards for BTC. Onwards and upwards. So yeah, that's the plan with BTC. Quick analysis for Euro USD. Okay, Sky Official. I'll take a look for you. Good morning, Alan. Welcome to the stream. Shorting oil from 62.31. Okay, I'll go have a look. See. So yeah, Euro USD, very bullish on this one. I think the price action is relatively straightforward for Euro. Basically, my thought process is this bearish structure has been invalidated. The market is broken to the upside. And I'm basically just looking to follow this bullish structure now back to the highs at 1.155. I think the USD is just going to head back to lows at 98. So I do think Euro USD is going to do the exact opposite pretty much and push back to the highs there. We might not get that this week. I think that's still a pretty big move if we were to do that in 1 week. But I do think Euro is going to keep pushing. So as long as price does not break through this kind of piece of structure, so between that swing high and that swing low, but basically as long as we don't take out this swing low, so as long as we don't do something like that, I'm very, very bullish for Euro USD. We might pull back and retest the high, we might pull back midway, we might pull back at the low, but either which way, I do expect us to hold this area and continue. So very, very bullish in Euro. We've broken structure to our left over here as well, which is a very good sign to see for the buyers. And I think the first area to focus on would, of course, be the retest of the high there at 1.135. But the plan is for euro to ride that further. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Alan, 62.31. Okay, oil will take a look as well. Dark Sean, exactly my thoughts. Okay, nice. Not sure what we will see today due to the bank. Okay, yeah, that's true. Almost forgot about that. But waiting for New York to open, see what happens. Yeah. Maybe the markets might be a little bit more on the tame side of things. Although last bank holiday we had, I think was earlier May. That was actually a pretty big day. The market was actually moving a lot. It wasn't the bank holiday in the US though. I don't know if it's a bank holiday in the US today. I'm not too sure. But I know the last bank holiday we had earlier May, there was no bank holiday in the US, so it was just as normal with them. But yeah, the markets were actually quite volatile that day. We had some gaps, I remember. The market was moving quite a lot. I think, was it this? 12th of May? I don't know. I can't remember. I just remember the market was moving a lot. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, of course. We'll have to wait and see. But I think the US Open should definitely help things out. Anyway, we'll go take a look at oil. So oil, you said you got short from 62.15, 31. Don't know where I got 15 from. 31. Okay, that's about there-ish. Maybe looking at a different broker, so it could be slightly different. Look at FXCM. 62.31. No, that still would be a bit high. So are you short from last week or something, or was that just... Yeah, 301 would be up there. So I'm guessing that's a short from last week, or maybe it's a typo. But anyway, in terms of my outlook for oil is still pretty bearish. The fact that we respect the highs here very well has definitely set the tone. I was looking for us to push into 66 for oil, but unfortunately, I'm not too sure we do that anymore. It would be nice if we do. And again, never say never, especially in trading. But very, very strong support level, clean break to the downside. It would be nice to see a retest of that level. Even if price was to break back above it, the retest as support should also give us some really nice opportunities to long the pair. But at the moment, yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting there, especially dropping to the 4-hour chart. Looks like resistance is held pretty well. So I did say last week that shorts from here could take us back into the low, which it did. Since we've bounced from them again. As for the next move for oil, it's not particularly clear, I must say. I would say things are getting a bit more flat. So it wouldn't be something that I look to trade myself. Maybe if I see a strong break lower, that could interest me for a short there. So at least I know we're kind of leaving this in the dust. This is looking like another lower high in the market. And then I can try and take advantage of some shorts to continue that back into lows. So that could interest me there, but it does depend on us getting a solid break to the downside. To be honest, yeah, that would interest me, but I think I'll just try and hope to see if price can get to 66. I'm not really seeing anything that gives me confidence price will do that move, but again, you know, price might get there for whatever reason. So if it does, great, we can monitor price there. And it's just a very simple outlook. If we respect it well, looking for a big swing back to lows. If we break back above, hopefully you can find a retest. And I'll look to trade it back to the highs there. So very pivotal level. I'll keep a close eye on that. In terms of price action, if it does just spill over, then this is something I do like the look of. As the price action in there, just kind of looks a little bit sideways, a little bit messy. So personally, I would stay away. Something like that will clear things up. Or of course, if you get to the level, which is 66, that would be a nice place to be involved in. Okay, you place a sell limit there. Okay, my bad. I thought you were just in a trade there. Okay, yeah, sell limit there. 62.31. That's around here. where's your stop loss? Where's your stop loss? Because that will, of course, make or break the trade. Because if you have a sell limit here and your stop loss is like there, well, then there's no margin for error, really. If your stop loss is here, well, then, of course, you give you a lot of room for the market to potentially roll in your favor. And that definitely increases the odds of the trade working out. Of course, your risk to reward will not be as good as the opportunity if your risk was like that. But then again, it's the sacrifice. Yeah. How tight of a stop loss do you want to maximize your reward? But you know, the smaller the stop loss, the bigger the risk to reward, but less likely the trade plays out. And you know, I'm always a fan of giving yourself a little bit of room at least for a stop loss. You know, give yourself the needed room for the trade to work out, plus a little bit more. That's always my kind of view on stop losses, just because of that natural fluctuation. But yeah, where's your stop loss at? That kind of makes or breaks the trade, really. I think in terms of where the sell limit is, it makes sense. If I was to look to enter a trade there, my stop loss would have to be above the high. Yeah, I wouldn't have it anywhere else. That will give me the best chance to see out the trade. NZUSD crypto, no problem. I will take a look. Alan Long in your USD from 1.133. Okay, we'll have a look at that as well. Okay, I'll go through NZUSD first. Still need to go through the rest of the yen pairs before I forget. So yeah, NZUSD still looking for a break of the high and a continuation. I'm still very bullish as a whole on this market. I am bullish on the currency NZD and I'm bearish on the currency USD. So from a currency strength situation, I think this is a pair which still has a lot of room to the upside. In terms of actually trading it, then I kind of just want to see a break at the high, really. I'm not even really interested in the break me test at this level because the way I see it, that this is just a rangy market right now. Equal highs, equal lows somewhat. If we can get a break to the upside, that okay, number one, shows us clearly that this trend means business and it's still healthy and it still is likely to continue. And also that does leave behind a pretty nice level of resistance, which potentially could act as support again and could be a great place to find some entries to continue that trend. So this would be my preferred opportunity for NZUSD. That's probably still about a week away from forming because we need the breakout, then the pullback. I suppose shorts from here make sense as well. You know, we're back at resistance. Resistance is where you sell at, but I'm just quite bullish on the pair. So I wouldn't expect anything crazy to happen. Maybe something like that could happen. I mean, of course, we could go further too. But again, I want to trade in the direction of my bias, and because my bias is bullish, I'm not really focused on taking any shorts for now anyway. So yeah, there might be a nice sell here. It is a decent level. Stops above the high makes sense. I probably wouldn't try and take it further than 0.596, but this would be my preferred opportunity for NZUSD. Some longs at that level. Okay, let's take a look at that Euro USD opportunity. What's up, Yusuf? Welcome to the stream. I did have a good weekend. Thank you. Hope you had a good weekend as well. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. I do really appreciate everyone who has liked and subscribed so far. It does help the channel, helps promote the content as well, and it does me a big favor. So I really do appreciate that, guys. But yeah, Euro, you said you're looking to long from 1.133, a lot of threes there, and at 8. So that would be roughly around here somewhere, which, yeah, again, more or less the area which, as long as price doesn't invalidate this area, which basically means break through, then anywhere within this, I could see price rally and push up. So I don't mind that opportunity at all. Probably would trade it more so like an hourly or a 30-minute chart just to refine my entry well and take as much advantage as I can of my risk to reward. But like I said, anywhere within there, price can turn around. There's some support here, price can respect. Of course, you've got the low there as well. anywhere here, price can definitely turn. I think the key thing is just to watch how price develops. If this momentum starts to slow down, and we start to see some wicks and a strong close, well, yeah, that tells you that we're most likely going to turn around from here. Same goes with there, same goes with there as well. So yeah, I do like the idea of looking to buy euro at those prices. Makes a lot of sense to me. Then naturally targets back to the high over there, and eventually over up there. So I do like what I'm seeing here with Euro USD. Stops at 63.90. Okay, where's that? 63.90. Okay, so that's around, not a bad place. I mean, I probably would have it just slightly higher, just because I can take full advantage of that wick there. Your stop loss is around here, which again does give yourself a bag of room to trade with. So if the market isn't perfect and it fluctuates a little bit, you should be able to stomach the trade. Naturally, I always want to have my stop loss above structure, and since you're so close to it, I would just have it above the high, which of course probably does sacrifice a bit of the reward, but I think it's a necessary sacrifice. But for the most part, you have given yourself some decent room there, so I can understand that. But in my case, I would place it above the high. But I do think there is room to the downside. The fact that we double topped here very aggressively does lead me to expect more downside for oil. So in terms of direction, I do definitely back it. And yeah, possibly a push back to 56 area. So I do agree with that. The Growl FX, dollar yen, I will take a look, no problem. I like the name, by the way, Growl FX, nice name. Dollar yen, we'll take a look. Jonathan, morning, hope you're well. Closed my dollar CAD position way too early on Friday. Have you got any advice for holding onto winners? Good question. Well, I think the biggest advice I have to say for winners is you have to plan for the trade to be a big winner. You can't have a plan where, let's say if you're short here and your target is here, and then the price does get there and you close the trade there, but price potentially ran all the way here. If you didn't plan for that, then you can't take advantage of that. You have to plan for the big move to be able to take advantage of it. So if you had if your analysis said that potentially price might get there, then of course you can plan for that, and by that there's numerous ways you could plan for that. Let's say if you did enter here, maybe you have partial targets, which originally is how I start to take advantage of bigger moves, which is, okay, normally I would take my profits here, but maybe I just only take half here, and I take another 20% there, and take another 30% back there. So you can play with the numbers or whichever way you want. But you have to plan for the moves if you want to take advantage of big moves. And then in terms of the psychological part, it's not easy because, of course, you've got your floating profit, which is always going to be at risk. But I think just locking in gains, whether it's you're trading a stop loss along the way, so as price creates structure, you're kind of just trading a stop loss along. This gives you kind of the security that, okay, even price doesn't get the big target, I still walk away with some healthy profit. So that's a good way to manage your psychology. Or you could just use partial targets as well. As price hits levels, I secure some profit before it does get to the big target as well. So in terms of psychology, management is huge. That will keep you sane throughout the move. So yeah, if you're looking for big moves, plan for it. Plan how you're going to manage your trade for it. The management side of things will keep you sane. And then in terms of just experience, you just got to keep at it, because there will be some trades you take that has the potential to be a big winner, but it doesn't happen. And maybe you'll be kicking yourself that you didn't take your profit earlier. And that will happen as well. And that's the sacrifice of looking for big trades. Sometimes you'll be looking at targets down here, but the market only went a third of the way, then turn against you. But then you'll be saying, oh, I should have took some profit here. That's kind of the price you have to pay for the big winners, that you'll get some trades that just turn back against you. But yeah, I think the big kind of thing about big winners is just your management of it. You're not going to take a trade and hold on to like a 1 to 20 trade, are you? You know, you're not going to be up 18R and potentially allow a 18R to come back to break even. I don't think that would make much sense just in terms of your account management, not even the trade alone. You're going to have some precautions against that. So management is huge, and always plan for the trade. I think that would be my advice. But anyway, in terms of dollar yen, so this one's been a bit interesting because I've been expecting upside for the yen pairs as a whole. But dollar yen's been a bit tricky because I've been pretty bearish on the USD. And yeah, it just depends who's going to be the weaker currency, really. Is it going to be USD or yen? I mean, so far it is USD. But I do think price is going to get back to the lows here now. It hasn't given me much confidence that we are going to see that swing. I do think I still think we're due a bounce. So as price approaches this level of support, I do think price is due a bit of a bounce, but I only expect that bounce to be a pullback of this bearish move for price to continue lower. So in terms of an opportunity for dollar yen, there might be some temporary, some short-term temporary longs, but I think the bigger move is still with the sells. I said on my weekly analysis coming to the week that preferably I'd like to see price push up into that resistance. I'm not too sure if we will, but that would be the best place for a short. Ideally, it will be similar to a head and shoulder, or it is a head and shoulder. There's your left, there's your head, there's your right. That would be a great place to enter, place a stop loss above, and it gives you a pretty nice swing to take advantage of back into the lows. If we don't see that swing, then the next best opportunity would just be a break and retest of the lows here. Probably need to scale right down to like the 15 to really take advantage of that. That's probably the best opportunity you'll find if you don't see the bigger pullback. But in terms of the trajectory of dollar yen, it is looking pretty bearish. It looks to me that this bearish trend is just still continuing. So naturally, I think we'll end up back at the lows. So bearish bias for dollar yen, expecting push back to 140. In terms of a decent trade, that would be ideal, would be the pullback there. Certainly if you're looking for a bigger swing trade and you're kind of trading more on the 4-hour/hourly time frame. If you're a lot more intraday, 15, 5-minute even, then some breaking retest at the lows here makes a lot of sense. And then, yeah, targets back to the swing low at 140. But I am pretty bearish on dollar yen for now. Alan, long in BTC USD from 109.225 to loss 107. Okay, let's have a look. No problem, Jonathan. Happy to help. Okay, so you're looking too long from 109.225. Let me mark that on the chart. Okay, that's around there-ish. And stop loss at 107.988. 107.9. Okay, that's around there. Again, not a place where I'll put my stop loss. I always like below structure, but again, I'm sure you got your reasoning for that, it being there. But yeah, I do like the trade. The idea is that, okay, price is broken structure. I imagine that you've probably set a limit here, waiting for price to come back and retest that, then continue. Again, for me, I would put it below the low just to give myself the room. But of course, in terms of risk to reward, that's where things get skewed now, because naturally, I assume your target will be back at the high. And if you have your stop loss here, you're probably not even looking at 1-to-1 maybe. And that's just back to the high. Yeah, I mean, you might scrape a 1-to-1 maybe. Again, there's nothing wrong with a 1-to-1, especially if you do it, from time to time. Preferably, I like my risk to reward to be greater than a 1-to-1, preferably greater than a 1-to-2. But again, a 1-to-1 here now is not going to, disrupt your trading career. But yeah, preferably I like it below the low, but I'm sure you got your reasoning of why it is where it is. In terms of the entry, I like it coming back to retest the structure there after we just broke through. And it makes sense. It's a bullish market. We are in a comfortable bullish trend. Momentum's with the buyers, just taking up highs there to the left. So naturally, I would expect us to push back into the highs at 111. Of course, we can go a lot further than 111, but that's kind of the location of where we can expect price to get to, because we might just pinch the high and come back down, or we might see a massive breakout. Either or is just as likely as the other one, because we're all-time highs. There's nothing really to reference after we take out that high there. But yeah, I do like the idea. It does make a lot of sense, and I do expect us to push back into the swing highs. Yusuf, please take on gold. Okay, at the moment I'm looking for it to make a wick at 33.22. Okay, assuming talking about the 15-minute chart. So I'll drop to the 15. Let me just get rid of my drawings previously. Okay, so you're looking for it to make a wick at 33.22. So I assume that's the low here. So you're looking for a wick there. Assume that's going to be your entry trigger to get into the position. A nice wick to the downside, and then you're looking to back that up with an entry. I think that's sensible. From a 15-minute perspective, the market is still pretty bullish. Still very corrective on the way down as well. So I think buys look good. In terms of a location, I kind of like this area or even this area here for a buy. Yeah. Or maybe a strong push above the low here, because that essentially looks like a double bottom to me, and this kind of looks like a fake out of that. But yeah, I would like to see price come a little bit lower for gold for a rally. That would be my preferred kind of location to buy it, because we are looking a little bit tired. When markets are a bit tired, I don't want to be buying too high up. I want to be buying as close to the structural low as possible, because if the market is tired, I'm expecting deep pullbacks. I'm not expecting the market to rip in my favor. And I'm also expecting price to potentially reverse against me. But if I can buy as close to the low here as possible, I might still be lucky enough to catch a bounce. So if the market does roll over against me, I probably can still go break even or maybe lock in some gains in that time. But yeah, I think it's coming into a nice area. I think 33.16, 33.08 looks a little bit more appropriate to me. But I think you're still in a very sensible area. And if you can get big wicks, I know you like your wicks as well, and I like them too, that would definitely change a lot. I'm not too sure if we get it because it is bank holiday. Maybe the market's going to be a bit more dry today. But it's definitely an area which we could see a bit of a rally there on the 15. So I can definitely second that for you. Anyway, I'm going to go through some of the yen pairs before I do forget. So I was going to go through them earlier. I had a look at dollar yen. We had a look at euro yen as well. Pound yen. Nice upside. We've had a bit of a rally this morning. It does look like a low is forming here, so that is a sign that potentially price is getting ready to see some follow through. My expectation is still pushed back into 196. I'm still looking for a swing back to the high there. We just about broke structure to our left not too long ago, so that set me in a bullish bias here for pound yen. And I'm basically looking at the continuation of these higher highs and higher lows. So with this, I'm now expecting another higher low to form and a swing back into resistance. I was expecting us to kind of make a move back into this area. I mean, we just missed it by a few pips, to be honest. But it looks like support is held and we're seeing some momentum here. So for pound yen, this is what I expect over the next few days, a rally back to 196. In terms of, yeah, we'll go for New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen, pretty bullish as well. I think, again, NZD strength has helped this one out. I was looking to see if NZD can push a little bit lower, in fairness. But not too sure if we make it back to this low here anymore at 83.5. I was looking to see if we can pull back there and then try and collect some buys off that low. But not too sure if we'll see that. At the moment, we are pushing into some supply here. So it's a make or break here It's a make or break area right now for New Zealand yen. If we are going to see price rally back to highs, then we need to clear this out the way. If price does start to kind of flop and reject here, we could come straight back down, which could provide some opportunities because I'm still very bullish on New Zealand yen. So if we do push down, it doesn't change the idea. It still means we're looking to buy it. And that could actually give us an opportunity. So I'd still keep an eye on that. A nice double bottom here forming. Basically holding on to this low here to our lefts. That's where a lot of momentum came previously. This is the first time price is coming back to retest it. So I still think this zone here, 84.5, makes a load of sense. If not, then we do have this daily kind of support level below us as well. But you can see by the arrows, I'm expecting a pretty big swing. But this is an interesting area, especially if you can drop to like a 50-minute chart. Actually, probably not 50, maybe just an hourly chart. This might be a nice short brewing up if we start to kind of stall. If we just break to the upside, then yeah, we'll probably miss the boat entirely. And New Zealand yen is going to rally. But if we are going to sell, this will be the place, 86. Keep an eye on that. I think Aussie yen, we've had a bit of a reaction as well. I'm still looking to see if I can jump back into Aussie yen longs this week. I do think we can still rally for this one too. But again, not really primed up right now for a buy. I like the reaction we had. It's definitely implying to me that, okay, buyers are stepping into the market. We could definitely see price push through that. But what I'm looking for an entry would be a bit of a double bottom and then the buy afterwards. Nice reaction from last week. Let's see if we can retest and get the ball rolling. And then, of course, targets, you keep it really, really simple. Back to the highs there, 95.572. So as a whole, very bullish on Aussie yen as well, in a very nice place for a long. This does look like a lovely inverse head and shoulder patterns forming. There's your left shoulder, there's your head, there's your right shoulder. Now expecting a swing back into resistance there. And of course, potentially further as well. If that inverse head and shoulder is going to really form, you would all, of course, expect the break of the neckline. But very nice place, very nice place. Again, I'm expecting bullishness on Aussie and NZD, so I'm expecting that to be a driving force as well. And in terms of shorting this pair, especially from an intraday point of view, what the... Did not mean that to happen. Especially shorting this pair, especially from an intraday point of view, then I would wait for something like that. If we could push into this zone, similar to New Zealand yen, 93.5, that would look good. But yeah, I do think the bigger move is to the upside. So looking for a push down, double bottom, and then some buys back into 95 would be the plan. In terms of the other yen pairs, CAD yen, I know that's seen a bit of a reaction, but I'm still not a fan of CAD yen at all, really. I know it's just about respecting support here, which is great, but I think the pair is very much in a consolidation. We've rejected highs, we've rejected lows, equal highs, equal lows. So on paper, that would be a consolidation. So despite my bullish bias of expecting another swing, it just isn't in optimal conditions. So personally, I would stay away from CAD yen. Like I said, I do think we can break higher, but just not a great pair to be trading at this moment in time, especially if you're looking at trending markets and that's your kind of forte. That's what you want to focus on. This is not a market that is trending at the moment, so definitely want to stay away. And then Swiss yen, yeah, not a big fan of this one at all. We're kind of stuck at resistance at the moment. I'm not too sure about the next big move for Swiss yen. Is price going to respect resistance and topple over again? Or are we trying to break back to highs? I'm not too sure. So for that reason, I would leave Swiss franc alone. I mean, we are pretty consistent with these higher lows on the 4-hour chart. So it does look like price is just going to swing back to resistance again, but that's about it. That is about it. Nothing spectacular for Swiss franc. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs. Not the biggest fan of the price action, but Aussie yen and New Zealand yen do look pretty good. So I'll focus on those two. Alan, my entry time frame is always 1 hour, and I analysis from monthly down to 4 hour, then enter out. Okay, nice. Similar in my regard as well. I enter on the 4 hour chart, but I pretty much look at all the higher time frames as well to generate analysis and my expectation of the market too. I try not to overcomplicate things. I try to keep things relatively simple. I'm just looking for, again, a clear-cut bias because I do trade a wide range of markets. So it does allow me to pick and choose which pairs look good at the time. But the plan is always find a market which looks good for a bias in terms of the likelihood of price moving in a certain direction is pretty high. And then find an area which makes sense to trade that direction. So if I'm bullish on the market, well, where's a good place to buy? Map out those areas and then simply wait for price to get there, as long as everything still checks out, of course. And yeah, that's really much how I take my process to trade. Of course, that's a very basic overview, but that's basically what it is. And yeah, I do look at monthly. I do keep an eye on a monthly, keep an eye on weekly charts. Daily and 4 hours where I spend most of my time. Weekly, monthly kind of just give me the overall picture of the market. It's not so much about trading decision. It's more so, okay, I'm positioned where potentially might continue for a long time. So that could help out with how long I hold the trade. Or if I'm positioned against the higher time frames like the weekly and monthly, I can still take the trade, but it means I probably won't be looking for such a big move. And a bit more cautious with targets. Yusuf, if it pulls back below 32.22, it would break my trend line. Okay. So you're looking for the trend line confluence as well. Okay, so yeah, if it can respect that area, it would make sense. If it does break the trend line confluence, that could make or break the trade. I still like those areas below, but of course, it does mean it's without the trend line confluence, which does reduce the probability of the trade there as well. So if that's the case, then it might be a situation where you leave it alone. USD, which one is that? Is that CZK? I'm not sure what currency that is. Oh, it's the Czech Koruna. I was wondering what the currency is for the Czech. I thought it was euros, to be honest. But nope. I don't use euros in the Czech Republic. Okay, so this basically looks like the DXY. That basically looks like the DXY. Okay, when I zoom out, it doesn't look like the DXY anymore, but the most recent price action looked like the DXY. But yeah, I would expect this just to push back to lows there. I mean, I just had a quick overview of the market, but it looks to me that we're probably going to actually push back to lows. Shorts at 21.89. I guess support there. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I back it as well. To 21.93, which is basically the low. So yeah, I would agree with that as well. It looks basically like the DXY. I mean, if I just get the DXY up right now, just take a mental image of that. DXY is pretty much the same thing. But yeah, I expect the dollar to swing back to the lows there too. So I would imagine that would drag that currency pair as well to the lows. So yeah, pretty bearish with that one as well. Prince Gold, okay, I'll go through gold. I do have a position on New Zealand CHF, which I'll go through as well. But yeah, my take for gold pretty much is in reference to this descending channel. Price has been operating within this channel for a few weeks now, and we're at a make or break area. If the market is going to break through this, is a very bullish signal to me. I'll expect to see price swing back to highs at 34.95. If price doesn't break the highs, of course, and I mean so far that's the case we're kind of doing. If I can see a stronger close on the 4 hours, some more momentum, I would actually be pretty bearish there for gold, expecting a swing back into support. Something like we did the last time. A lovely swing over there, came back down. Lovely swing over there as well, came back down. So could be looking for the third swing in the sequence. So it definitely is an interesting area, 33.50. It's also a big psychological level as well. But yeah, I need some more candlesticks to really pinpoint what I do expect next for gold. Because right now I'm on the fence. I can see price potentially breaking through this in the next 4-hour candle. I can see price giving us a very strong close to the downside as well. So this can definitely go both ways for gold right now. But as a whole, it just depends on the next couple of candles really, and momentum as well, which might be tricky today because it is a bank holiday. Maybe it's a bit flat, but who knows? If you do see momentum, that will help pick the direction for me. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold for now. What's up, Ak? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Pound USD, Euro Yen. Okay, I'll go through my trading on New Zealand CHF, and I'll go through those currency pairs. Of course, any currency pairs, drop it down in the chat, guys. I'll take a look, and of course, let me know any particular time frames as well. If you do have a specific time frame you want me to look at, let me know, because most of the time I will spend my time on the 4-hour chart, a bit on daily, maybe a bit on hourly as well. But if you're a bit more intraday, just let me know, and I'll take a look. But I do have a position on New Zealand CHF, which I entered last week. I think this was last week Friday, wasn't it? Yeah, last week Friday. So yeah, I'm looking to see if I can swing it back all the way up there. I mean, the main target for the trade is this level here. That's when I'll look to secure most of my profit. But I do think because we are coming from all-time lows, I do think naturally there's a lot more upside to be had for New Zealand CHF. So I'm going to try and stretch the trade a little bit further, try and make a little bit more bang for my buck, and try and hold on to 0.50834. But I will look to kind of trail along the way. But the main target for the trade is a pushback to the high there, roughly around 1 to 2. And yeah, price came back to support, rejected it very, very well. Nice rejection, hopped into the trade there, was a little bit sideways. And of course, momentum from the week opening has pushed this my direction. But we are still in an interesting area where things can go south. If we do respect this area here, we can push back down. If we break through, things are looking pretty good. Probably we're just going to hit resistance there. But this is still an area which could send price down, so I have to be careful of that. But yeah, I'm very bullish on New Zealand CHF. I was also eyeing up Aussie CHF as well, but the entry didn't look as good, and it still doesn't look as good either. So I've stayed away from this one, but I still do expect us to push up. Long term, I do think we can come back and at least retest this zone here. Again, Aussie CHF coming from all-time lows. I do think we are likely to push the upside here. But yeah, New Zealand CHF, I think NZD is just a bit stronger than Aussie at the moment, so it's moving a bit better. But yeah, I do think New Zealand CHF can still push on. Pound USD I'll go through next. And Euro Yen 4-hour chart, no problem. We'll take a look. So Pound USD to me is pretty straightforward, to be fair. The price action is very, very bullish. So I wouldn't do anything other than buy here, to be honest. Zoom out, look at the bigger picture. You can see with last week's candle close, what do we get? A strong bullish weekly engulfing candle closing above resistance there. And that's basically set the tone. So as long as price doesn't close back below this week, I'm bullish. If we do close back below, then that's potentially a big fake out. Of course, that would not be a bullish signal. But if we stay above this level, then I just expect us to get to the next level, which in my book would be roughly around the 1.367 level there. But yeah, in terms of opportunity, just looking for a pullback. There's a nice range here. This is, of course, the consolidation which gave us this breakout. So ideally, it would be nice for price to come back and retest that, find some entries at that area, and then look to long. But yeah, I think the buys only make sense here. I wouldn't be looking to do anything other than that. So pound expecting more upside. We'll go to Euro Yen next. 4-hour chart. So I think this just looks a little bit on the choppy side of things. I do expect us to break to the upside. I said on the hourly chart, a nice trade would be if we can break to the upside, then get some pullbacks and then long. Because this bullish move here will set the tone to us, because we are kind of consolidating and things do look messy inside this area. But the key thing is support is still holding. If I go to the 4-hour chart quickly, you can see if I move this out the way, just clean things up. You can see support there is holding. That's the key thing for for Euro Yen. We have this bullish structure, which was giving us higher highs and higher lows. and price is still respecting that. So as long as that stays true, I do expect us to push the upside. This here is not a bad entry signal. Kind of taking it after the rejection of the wick there. Maybe risk reward isn't fantastic, but I still say that's a nice place for an entry and a nice entry signal too. And targets look relatively healthy there as well. And again, you can probably take it a little bit further than that too. Some highs over there, which we might come back and retest. But yeah, Euro Yen am pretty bullish. 4-hour chart respecting lows. As I said last week, as long as price respects the low here, which basically means as long as we don't close below it. We did wick below, but we didn't close. So as long as we didn't close below it, the buys still stay valid. We are still really corrective on the way down here. So I do think price is getting ready for a break higher. So that's my take for Euro Yen. Very, very bullish. It was already a nice entry signal. Perhaps you might wait for price to come back and retest again before entering. But yeah, I do think we're likely to rally back to 165 at some point this week. We might not get to 165 this week, but that's the direction I expect price to push towards. Yusuf, thoughts on GU, EU, GJ on the 15. Okay, we'll have a look. Julius, what is up? Kindly hit the like button. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, do drop a like. It does really help out. Does me a favor. I do really appreciate that. And of course, hit the subscribe button as well, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And yeah, it does really help promote the content. So I do really appreciate each and everyone who has liked the video. Julius, thanks for what you're doing. No problem. Can USD still pull back to 50% of the fib on weekly? Okay, I'll have a look at that. First, let me just go through pound USD and Euro USD and GJ for Yusuf. So on the 15, of course, I'll just focus more so on this structure here. So my focus would be 1.35400, because what we have on the 15 here for GU is a very, very bullish market, and a market which is still showing signs of slow bearish behavior, still showing signs of speedy, impulsive momentum in the bullish leg. So it tells me the trend is still healthy. So we would be looking at something like this just to continue back to highs there, and probably further as well. So very, very bullish here for pound USD. And from a 50-minute perspective, I just want price to come back, retest structure. This is where we had a brief consolidation, rip to the upside. That would, of course, be a nice place for price to come back and retest. And then find some longs from there onwards. So very, very bullish in pounds. Simple price action, I would say, in terms of the market structure. Just now looking for a retest for continuation. Euro USD in the same ballpark as well. Again, I'll clear things, just make things a little bit easier. Again, roughly looking for the retest of the prior high here. So price can come back, test structure there around 1.136. I think that's a sensible place to be looking to buy the market as well. Maybe a nice double bottom can shape up, swing it back into resistance. If I zoom out, you can see the high lows price has been creating on the 15. These are the major swing lows. Now, just looking for that pattern to continue and swing back to resistance there as well. So, yeah, very, very bullish for Euro USD. I think there's more upside to be had. I would expect us to take out the highs there eventually. In terms just on the 50-minute swing, if you can get some entries here, take it back to the high. That's already a phenomenal trade in itself on the 15. You can always leave positions to run a little bit further if you're looking for a bit more upside. But yeah, pound, euro, pretty much the same situation. Looking for pullbacks, expecting a lot more upside. GJ, on the other hand, I think things are a little bit more messy here on the 15. Again, for GJ, that's where I'm expecting price to get to eventually. If I zoom out, look at the bigger picture there on the 15, it is still an uptrend. And this could be price forming a higher low. So naturally, the expectation is a push back to the swing high at 196. But yeah, for GJ, what have we done? We've formed a nice, let's get rid of that. We formed a nice low here. So it looks like price is bottoming out. We had a really aggressive short here, but it didn't, penetrate the lows there. It just respected them. And now we've broken structure to the upside. So I do think price is on its way to take out the highs here and so on and so forth. In terms of an entry, I like this area here a lot. The range here, not bad as well. I like this area because it's a little bit deeper. If I was to whip out a trend line, that will probably allow us to get another test of the trend line there as well. And then a continuation, but this here, 193.4 is not a bad area as well, especially if the rejection looks good. But that would be my number one area down here. So what's that? 193.4, and that's just 193 flat. So yeah, GJ, very bullish on this one. I'm starting to see some bullish structure creep into the market now. Low, high, higher low, higher high. Now the pullback. And now looking for another pullback, for another higher low, for again another higher high, just keeping it relatively simple. And then naturally targets, well, it's up to you with targets. There, I do expect us to get there, but you might feel that's a bit too optimistic, and I think I would agree, especially if you're trading the 15. If you're like on the 4-hour chart, that target isn't anything too crazy. 15, you are looking at a pretty big swing, but that will be up to you as things develop. But yeah, from a 15-minute perspective, that is what I'll be looking at for GJ. Pullbacks into 193.4 or 193. In terms of ends the USD, with this one, I am very bullish. You are looking for a pullback to 50% of the weekly. Are you talking about this bullish move here, Julius? Can NZ still pull back to 50% fib on the weekly? Yeah, I assume you're talking about this fib. If not, let me know. Maybe there's a different fib you're talking about. Unless you're talking about like a fib from last week's high to low. Okay, you're talking about this fib. Yeah, I think the odds are very slim. From my experience, you don't never want to rule anything out in terms of a setup, because there's been times where I've got a setup like this, which I like the look of, and then I completely forget about it because it just at the time it doesn't look like price is going to make the setup, so I completely forget about it, focus on other pairs, and then when I do look back at the pair, whenever I miss the trade because it actually did happen, but I just didn't expect it. Of course, in this situation, it will take some time to get there, so you probably will catch it happening. But there has been times where I forget about setups because it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but it does happen. So I wouldn't rule anything out. I would definitely say it looks very unlikely for us to suddenly see the pullback now. I've been looking at something similar, to be honest. I was looking around the 0.58 area for a buy, but I don't see price getting here anymore, especially when we're just coming into resistance now and banging our heads on that level. I think this setup here is definitely more likely to form. So yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, but I just don't. It's not likely at all that price does get there. We had a relatively corrected move down here, so if we were going to hit those levels, we should have kept this up. The fact that we've now seen that momentum come through is a ginormous red flag. That price will get. It's not a red flag in itself. I just don't expect us to see that pullback, but especially with the move as well, it's very, very impulsive. It's not like price kind of slowly pushed up. If it was a slow grind higher, then I could still be of confidence that price is going to have another pullback. But it looks like we've seen a shift in price action. Things have been very corrective, and now it looks like buyers are potentially taking charge of the market there. So yeah, in my view, this is something I'll keep an eye on now for NZUSD. The greater pullback to that fib on the weekly is just not looking likely. Looking at Aussie dollars case as well, which of course very similar pair to NZUSD. We've had a strong bullish run there as well. This one's still not looking great, to be honest too. Still kind of fading at the highs, not too sure what price is trying to do. If we do get a clear cut break to the upside, great. I'll be looking at pullbacks and then more upside from then onwards, but not a fan of the price action for Aussie dollar at all. Not a big fan of the pair as of right now. I've been looking for a pullback into this zone here to try and get that inverse head and shoulder pattern to form. So get the right shoulder. That would be your left, that would be your head, and that would be your right shoulder. And that's kind of your neckline, if you will. So I've been looking for this pattern to develop, but we just haven't seen that right shoulder form. And looks like we're just going to break to the upside. So no right shoulder, no party there really that's what it really means. Maybe I get something like this. I'm not too optimistic about this type of trade, mainly because everything is so corrective on the way up. So I don't really want to be looking for break and retest because the conditions are not optimal for that. Unless the breakout is very violent, then maybe. So yeah, I'm struggling with the USD pairs for now. Dollar CAD, I think dollar CAD is probably the best pair for me. No problem, Yusuf, happy to help. I think dollar CAD is probably the cleanest pair for me right now in terms of opportunity, area of interest, momentum, what I'm expecting on the higher time frames. Dollar CAD is probably the cleanest. Lovely swing down, brief pause for the pullback, another swing to the downside. A retest of that area I think looks really, really good. Naturally, I would expect price to drive lower and come back and test this big range here. We stalled there. This is a huge area of demand, massive move to the upside from that area. And naturally, I do expect price to come back and retest that. So a pullback would give me the opportunity to trade that move. So I would say probably dollar CAD, dollar seat chef, that just missed an area last week, which would have made things interesting. I was looking at this level here last week. Really nice resistance. Once, twice, arguably a third time. Then support a few times here as well. I was looking to see if we can spike into that and then catch a short into lows. And then maybe into these lows as well. But yeah, dollar CHF not playing ball. Just missed it by a few pips. And sometimes that's what's going to happen in trading. You know, you forget sometimes that, you know, you're just trading with, in my case anyway, 100%, my man. Always keep the fire burning. Grateful for everyone on the stream, to be honest, interacting with myself. Because without you guys, there is no stream, to be honest. It would just be me talking to myself. I don't need a camera for that. But yeah, I do appreciate everyone tuning to the stream. It does really help. Help grow the channel and improve the content as well. So I do really appreciate that. But yeah, a big part of trading is, especially if you're a technical trader like myself, is knowing that you won't be perfect because you're only trading with limited information. Even if, of course, you incorporate the fundamentals, you still got limited information because, you know, buyers and sellers change every second. And that's going to affect the price. You're not going to know everyone buying and everyone selling their positions involved. So markets are not going to be perfect. You're not going to have a strategy that's going to give you a 100% win rate because you need 100% of the information to do that. You know, to know where the market's going to go next, you have to know exactly what participants are doing. Every single participant, not only over the exchange, but between countries, between people within countries as well. That, of course, over will affect the price of the exchange rate between two currencies. So all that information is pretty much impossible to know for at least one person anyway. Maybe there's someone out there controlling things, but you know, at least for an average Joe like me and everyone on the stream, pretty much, you're not going to know that information. So trying to be perfect, trying to always get the best trade, the correct trade, know where price is going to go, it's just a losing battle. And the beauty of it, you don't need to be right all the time. You don't even need to be, you can be more wrong than you are right, as long as you manage your risk to reward well. And that's really where you want your focus to be, because risk to reward you can manage a lot better than win rate. Win rate, you have no kind of say which trade's going to win or which trade's going to lose. But with risk to reward, you can always dictate where you're going to get out of the trade. Of course, you can't dictate if you're going to get out for 1 to 8, but you know, if you're going to hold for a big move, you can hold for a big move. If you want to take your profits early, you can take your profits early. That's something you can control a little bit more than win rate. But yeah, in this case, very, very close to hitting that level. Unfortunately, not the case. We had a bit of a drop there last week. Maybe we do push back into that level again. Who knows? But in my book, I do think we'll just roll over here to 0.8. So I do think a big move's coming, which kind of goes against my CHF bias. I do think CHF will be weak, or at least weaker in quite a few currencies. But I feel like USD might be a bit weaker. So I don't know with that one, but at least in the technicals, I do expect to push down. But other CHF pairs, pound Swiss, I do feel like that's going to have a bit of a rally. Of course, I'm buying New Zealand CHF right now. I do feel like that's going to have a bit of a rally back to resistance. Aussie CHF, I do expect to see upside with this one as well. Again, not really looking to trade it because I'm already in New Zealand CHF. They'll probably do the same thing, but I do think a rally there is likely. CAD CHF, that's coming from all-time lows as well. I do think this is due some upside, even though the price action looking very, very weird. And Euro CHF, from a high time frame perspective, I do think this can see some more upside. I'm not looking to get involved because I think the price action on the 4-hour chart looks absolutely dreadful. But there's clear support which price seems to be respecting very, very well on 4 separate occasions. 1, 2, 3, 4 rejected pretty well. So it does look like we're probably going to get a bit of a rally at some point. But yeah, I'm not prepared to find that out for trade. I'll let Euro CHF do its thing. I'll stick with my New Zealand CHF buys. As to my watch list, what I'm looking to get involved this week, not as many as I had previous weeks. I'm kind of a bit more, not cautious, but a few pairs I'm kind of just waiting for the market to show its hand a little bit before I do get involved. Aussie and New Zealand are still on the watch list, so the buys there still look just as good as last week. I'm just kind of hoping I haven't missed the trade actually. So still very much looking to buy these guys back up again. So in Aussie yen's case, I'm very much looking to take this back into the highs there. Came back into a lovely level of support, respected it very well. I think that was on Friday, and then this morning we pushed up a little bit. So I'm kind of looking for a retest to enter to get back into this and take it back to high. So Aussie yen looks good. New Zealand yen looks good as well, but I'm feeling maybe I might miss the move with this one. I'm kind of hoping we do push down one more time so I can pick up some buys on a double bottom. I like this zone here as well at 83.5. So those are the areas which I'm waiting to see if price can get to. Again, it's a waiting game. We may get there, we may not get there. If we do, great. I'll look for some entries. If we don't, on to the next position really. But that's the idea I have got for Aussie and New Zealand yen. So I'm still looking for 2 buys there, or at least 1. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the yen pairs. USD pairs, only dollar CAD I would say I'm looking at, because that's the only pair that's giving me decent risk to reward on a trade idea with a decent pullback as well. So dollar CAD, just simply looking for the pullback and the continuation back into support there. Lovely bearish leg from last week. That's of course our new lower high, which has given us some new lows past this point. So the plan is very simple. Look for a pullback, next lower high, continuation to the downside. Euro USD just doesn't have enough room for a decent pullback for me. Pound USD I'm not that interested in because we are a little bit overbought. We have seen a big move. I'm not so interested in following that so much right now. Then Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, just they look like myths right now, so I'm just staying away from them totally. So Aussie yen longs, New Zealand yen longs, dollar CAD shorts. Out the crosses, pound Aussie shorts and pound New Zealand shorts are 2 currencies I'm looking at. Pound Aussie still respecting this high here from a few weeks back. Gives this lovely swing to the downside, creating new lows. As long as price stays relatively corrective here, I am expecting us to drop to the downside and take out these lows. The theory behind that is that we've had a really big bullish run, basically since the low here in 2022. Haven't really looked back since. We've taken out some major highs here to the left. Those are the COVID highs. I do think the market is a little bit stretched. but a very big bullish move here, and we came down pretty hard too. So I do feel like the market's going to slowly correct to the downside. So as long as things stay corrective here, and I don't see price rally through resistance like that, yeah, I'm expecting us to roll over. So in terms of an entry, basically just looking for a double top at the high here. Respect it again, and then there's the drop I'm looking for. And targets, keeping it simple, probably locking most of my gains at the low here. What the plan would be to see if I can stretch the trade a bit further. I like the looks of this high here, around 2.0295. So that probably would be the end goal for the trade, but definitely secure some gains there. Pound NZD I like the look of as well. Pretty much the same reason as Pound Aussie. Markets trend to the upside for a while. We're looking very corrective. We're coming back into a nice piece of structure here. Resistance, if I take that across, looks to be rejecting pretty well. I do think Pound NZD can drop now. Again, I'm kind of looking at a double top here forming. I'm wondering if I've missed the boat for this one. I might have. We'll have to wait and see. But as long as this 2.27 level can hold, I do think we can push back down again. You can see how corrective price has been on the way up. Again, not the characteristic of a trend continuation. Probably price is going to push down at this point in time. And then just especially just looking at how everything is shaped up, how the highs there have shaped up, how we pull back, all adds to the bias and builds the narrative of why I'm expecting some counter trend moves. So as long as we can stay true to that, respect this area here at 2.27, I do feel like there's a good chance of us ending up back at 2.217. So Pound NZD shorts, Pound Aussie shorts are on the watch list as well. Euro Pound has found itself on the watch list too. I'm not expecting a big move here for Euro Pound, but I am expecting a bounce. And the plan is, can I take advantage of that bounce and just be a bit cautious? Because with Euro Pound, there is some bullish structure, but I don't want to get my hopes up in terms of how significant this bullish structure can be and whether I can probably swing it back to its highs again. So something like that, back to the highs. I'm not quite confident in seeing a move like that for Euro Pound, I must say. I'm looking at this overall consolidation to our left here. This is kind of like an area of demand where price had a brief consolidation and ripped the upside with a lot of momentum. So that tells me, okay, these are where a lot of buyers enter the market, and we saw a lot of momentum come from this area. So if price does get there again, perhaps we could see another reaction. Of course, nothing's guaranteed, but perhaps we can. So that's where monitoring price action comes into play, and just seeing how price operates. Now, so far, we've been very, very corrective on the way down. So that paints the picture that we're not seeing too much selling pressure anyway. So perhaps coming to an area like this could be the catalyst that does send us back up again. Now I kind of just need to see that momentum shift back to the buyers. And I'll try and find an entry somewhere around here. Then the plan will be, okay, can I ride it back to the high here? Can I ride it back into this level here? So 0.845 kind of lines up pretty well with support and resistance there. And then this level here lines up with support and resistance there pretty well too. So those are the two significant levels I see in the market. And to be honest, I would be happy just to close the trade at that level. Maybe I leave a position to run just in case we do continue back to highs. I don't know, maybe price does form a higher low and we do continue. The reason why I'm not so optimistic in terms of following this bullish structure of these higher highs and higher lows is just because if you look at the whole structure, Euro Pound as a whole, it's a very choppy market. It's not a market which I want to follow trends in. It's a market where I want to buy low, sell high, and not try and be in the trade for too long. Because the nature of how everything moves, it just swings from one level to another. Doesn't really trend. Of course, it has seen some other trend on the way down, but even that trend is nothing to get too excited about. It's been a very kind of chaotic trend as well. So we're down low. We've seen a nice corrective move. We're back at areas of demand support. I like how price has been moving. So Euro Pound is something I am looking to see if I can get involved in, and see if I can trade it to one of these areas. And then CAD pairs, New Zealand CAD. I'm still keeping an eye on New Zealand CAD. I like the buys of this one. Again, I wonder, have I missed the boat? I'm looking to see if price can take the low out, then buy. And again, I'm not too fussed about New Zealand CAD buys because I was actually debating the entry here last week with New Zealand CHF, but I hopped into New Zealand CHF instead. So I'm not too worried if I don't get into this one because I'm buying NZD already. So I've kind of ticked that box there. And I had the entry at the time. It's just I chose a different currency pair. I didn't want to double up. But again, for this one, looking for price to kind of spike the lows, take a buy there, and take it into the swing high. And then lastly, Aussie CHF, I'll keep an eye on. Maybe I get some entries. If I can get New Zealand CHF to break even, then maybe I look to try and find some opportunities for Aussie CHF. We'll wait and see. And then, of course, I'm just managing New Zealand CHF at this moment in time right now. So that's kind of where I'm at personally with my trading and what pairs I'm looking to see if I can get involved this week. I would say nothing's quite ready just yet. Maybe Euro Pound's the closest to a trade. Of course, apart from New Zealand CHF, Euro Pound's, I would say, close to a position because it's already tested my area. Now I just need to see the signal. So maybe that can give me a setup even today potentially. So keep an eye on that. But in terms of dollar CAD, pound NZD, pound Aussie, Aussie yen, New Zealand CAD, they need some work. They might shape up later in the week. Bro is right, in one trade you can make back all your losses. Of course. Again, people get too caught up with the losses because taking a few losses isn't really that serious, especially if you can manage your risk reward pretty well, which is not difficult. 1 to 2, 1 to 3s are not anything crazy in terms of risk reward, but in terms of profitability, I think with a 1 to 2 risk reward, with a 1 to 2 risk reward with a 40% win rate, you will be profitable. You have to crunch the numbers there, and you won't be mega profitable. I think that's a key thing to look at as well, because if you do the basic maths on that, you take 10 trades, you win 4 with 2R, that's 8R. Then of course you take 6 losses, 8 minus 6, you're left with 2R. Maybe you pay 1R in terms of commission, maybe swap as well, and just the general expenses of trading. So maybe you walk away with 1R every 10 trades. If you take, let's say if you take 200 trades in the year, that means you walk away with 20R, 2% per trade, potentially 40% gain on the year. That's without taking into consideration your exponential curve as well. That's if you're adjusting your percentage risk to your new account balance every time you trade. That's if you just kept it the same. But there's still opportunity there. That's with trade frequency and looking at your results. So there's still decent profitability there. You're not mega profitable. We don't need to be mega profitable, especially if you're starting out, especially if you've got capital as well. If you've got capital, then who cares? If you've got lower capital, then you might need to increase those numbers if you want to grow a little bit quicker, but that's something that come later. Especially if you're break even or you're not making money, then your focus should be just on making some profit and staying consistent with that. You need to walk before you can run before you can sprint, sort of thing. Risk reward is just a very important aspect of trading. And like I said, nothing crazy. 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s are something manageable and something that can allow you to be quite consistent without worrying too much about win rate. Again, I wouldn't advise to have a very low win rate either, because that can take a toll on you mentally. Because ideally, if you have like let's say a 1 to 6 is your average risk reward, well, then you could probably get away with a 20% win rate, maybe even a bit lower than that, maybe like an 18% win rate. But then in reality, trading with an 18% win rate will be difficult mentally, because if you crunch the numbers, you could probably easily go 12, 13 losses in a row with like an 18% win rate and still be within the confinements of your probability. And I know for the average trader, 13 losses in a row is not something that a lot of people can stomach. Which again, in fairness, it makes sense. But even with like a 40% win rate, you can still very much have 13 losses in a row as well. It's just a lot less likely to happen, but if you take enough trades, you probably will experience that at some point in time. So you still have to be able to stomach that too. But of course, with the lower win rate, the likelihood of that happening is a lot higher. The thing is all about balance. Risk to reward is important, not the most important thing. Win rate is important, not the most important thing. Just have a good balance between the two, and be prepared to go through that, because you could have a great win rate, 60-70% win rate, but still you'll go through some losing streaks, and still that could break you. So even despite having good win rate, doesn't really make a difference if you still can't stomach the losses. A good book I recommend to check out would be Best Loser Wins by Tom Holgard. I read that a few years ago. It was a really good book, eye-opening. One of my favorite quotes from that book is not only the title, Best Loser Wins, but it's the losses make the trader, not the wins. And I think that is so true, because anyone can take a winning trade and perform well, but not everyone can take a loss and perform well too. And that's the difficult side of things. But anyway, I digress. I haven't actually gone through the indices yet. I need to take a look at them. The DXY hasn't really budged. I suppose because it's bank holiday, we're not going to see too much movement. We did see a bit of movement this morning, but it looks like things have dried up a little bit. Barely budged for the past 2 hours there. Indices are looking interesting. They're looking very, very bullish. We spoke about NAS briefly on the lower time frames. I think as a whole, I think we're destined to continue higher. Back into the highs here, which is 22,200. I talked about a couple of areas where we could pick up some longs. Spoke about this area, which I don't think price is going to get there anymore. But we also spoke about this area here too, which looks like price is respected very, very well last week. Actually, this was last Friday. It was a really nice spike into that zone. And now it looks like price is respecting that pretty well. So I do think naturally we're just going to rally to the upside now. Rally to the upside. Can only rally to the upside. Naturally, I think we're going to rally and get back to the highs, and get back to the all-time highs pretty soonish. I think in terms of the opportunity to trade it, you might have to drop to the lower time frames to find some pullbacks within this move, or hope to see if we can get another retest to that level. Because if you're looking from a swing perspective, ideally you want to get a stop loss below the lows here. If you're looking from a day trading perspective, of course, you're looking at some pullbacks, you can get some stop losses within that structure there. But of course, you're intraday, so you're not too bothered about trying to get the best stop loss placement. You're more looking trying to take advantage of the momentum of the day, which right now is pretty bullish. In terms of the S&P, same situation pretty much as a whole. I do think price is just making its way back to all-time highs at 6,100. It looks like price has come back to respect some very nice structure, I must admit. We haven't filled the gap. It would be nice if price could fill the gap. That would be great, but we have come back to retest the high here pretty well. Lovely wick to the downside. Today's already engulfing Friday's candle. Of course, we still got 10 hours left, so a lot can happen in that time, but so far price action is looking pretty good. I'm pretty sure we spiked into the 200, which I think is a phenomenal confluence for the trade. If I just move this out of the way so you guys can see it better, that was a very, very lovely wick through the 200. The 200 is a very pivotal support and area of resistance for the S&P. A lot of people have eyes on the 200 SMA, not EMA, SMA. And typically when price is above it, people are very optimistic about the S&P and buying. And when the S&P is below the 200, people are very pessimistic in a bearish climate. And it does work very well. Conditions work well here with the 200, I must say. If you just buy when we're above the 200, I'm not talking about just buying randomly, but if you predominantly look for buys above the 200, you have yourself very good conditions there to follow, even from a swing perspective as well. But yeah, you can see we're back above the 200 very, very well. Lovely spike. I would say if we can close like this today, then I just see us pushing up for the next few days, of course. So yeah, and that would translate to some pullbacks on the low time frames. If you can drop intraday, some pullbacks, maybe to retest an area like this might be a decent buy, or a break and retest some structure there might be a decent buy. We'll see how everything shapes up intraday as time continues, but the plan is just find the higher lows, take advantage of that momentum. But yeah, in my book, S&P is looking very, very bullish. US 30 looks pretty good as well. Not as good as S&P. I think S&P looks the best right now. You can see in terms of, didn't mean to see that. You can see in terms of US 30, we are in a bit of between a rock and a hard place, because price is still just about respecting the 200 moving average and still respecting that area of supply to our left. So technically speaking, US 30 is what I would still say we're in a bearish climate. But because it looks like the S&P is probably going to continue back to highs, it looks like NAS is probably going to continue back to highs as well, because these two major US indices are going to push back to highs. 9 times out of 10, you're going to see US 30 follow their direction as well. Very unlikely you're going to see US 30 trending down on like a daily chart and see S&P and NAS trend up. You might see that for a split day or two, or maybe a week or so, but in terms of the overall direction, yeah, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go in the same direction. So because of that, US 30, I do expect us to break through this resistance, break the highs and continue back to the highs, the all-time highs. So because of that analysis on the S&P and the NAS, I do expect more upside here. And I also like the area which we came back to fill too, because we filled the gap there as well. And that naturally could act as support for US 30. So yeah, US 30, I do expect us to push higher too, back to the highs there. Again, from an intraday point of view, you might be looking at a pullback into this area for a buy, or again, waiting for a break and retest of this area for a buy. Depends how the market shapes up and what type of trades you're looking to take as well. But I think they both look pretty good and both provide some opportunities on like a 15-minute chart as well. But I only see upside here for the Dow Jones too. I had a quick look at the DAX this morning. That had a very violent spike to the downside, but now I'm pretty sure it's looking pretty bullish again. As you can see, violent spike on Friday. I mentioned this before we had that drop. I said price does look pretty fatigued now for the DAX. I do expect to see a bit of a drop. I said the first area of interest will be the retest of this high here, because you can see how corrective we were moving at the time. Not only has the market had a substantial move to the upside, but we're now very fatigued and we're trading at all-time highs as well. So a push to the downside, I would say, was pretty likely. We've seen that happen. Aggressive wick there. Now we're looking somewhat bullish again. In terms of buying it, ideally, of course, hindsight bias, you want to be buying at the low. Wouldn't really want to be buying now because, again, we're approaching supply and resistance again. So this is not the best area to be looking to pick up some longs for the DAX. But again, naturally, I do think we'll see higher prices. I think maybe the next pullback, maybe if we retest the high there, that might provide something there to take higher. But altogether, I think that trade has left the station there a little bit. But yeah, DAX very, very bullish on as well. I do think higher prices are likely. The FTSE, I haven't actually kept an eye on this one. I did look at it briefly last week, but I'm not too sure what we're doing. Okay. So you had the wick as well. Pierced through the zone there. That would have done a good job at knocking some positions off the market, but essentially support still held, which is the key thing. So again, for the FTSE, I think we're probably going to push back into resistance at this point now as well. So indices as a whole look very bullish to me. I like the spikes we had on Friday, kind of just shaking people out of some positions here. Maybe some panic sells there, maybe some panic buys as well beforehand. But I think that is really positioned everything well for continuation now, because a lot of the indices have been pretty bullish, so they need their pullbacks. And I think the spikes we had on Friday is their pullbacks. So onwards and upwards for UK 100, FTSE, US 30, NAS, onwards and upwards. And of course, The dollar being weak too, I think helps drive these markets higher. Of course, if USD is going to be bearish, typically you're going to see the stock market be bullish. So I'm expecting S&P to climb, NAS to climb, US 30 climb, and I'm expecting dollar to fall. Maybe that means gold might push as well. We have to wait and see for that too. But I am only expecting more weakness. Of course, I do expect to see a bit of a pullback as well, but I'll only be looking to short USD for now. But yeah, guys, that has taken us to the end of the stream. I hope you guys have found it useful, informative, learned something, or at least enjoyed it. If that's the case, please be sure to drop a like button before you do leave. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel as well. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Discord link to Elevating Traders. It's linked in the description below. Also at the top of the chat, you can share ideas there, chat with other people, chat with myself there, share some of my ideas. If you're looking to join a community, go check it out. Links in the description. But guys, I do really appreciate each and every one of you from joining in, chatting with myself. It does really help out. Helps grow the stream and the channel as well. So I do really appreciate that. But guys, as always, I will be live again tomorrow. I'm live every weekday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So make sure you tune in again tomorrow. I'll be there sharing ideas. If I do get into any new positions, I'll let you guys know. We'll see how New Zealand CHF gets going, which is the trade I'm in. And of course, we'll comment on all other markets. And of course, you guys can share what you're looking to trade as well. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day. And I'll catch you all in the next one.